Hey, James with a quick vlog ahead of RQ Lille. Oh, you want to get down now? Okay, well, you can sit here for a few minutes while I just chat to people about RQ Lille and how things are going. Going good. We had a production meeting today, so it was nice to work with the team. The announcement's all gone out, so I can now talk about the fact that Lothar and Blevins will be joining Amy and I for that. I think maybe that even had gone out by the time I did my last thing. I don't know, I've lost track of time over the last couple of weeks. Looking forward to working with both. I worked with Lothar before at IEM Katowice, so that'll be really exciting to kind of take what we did together on Fortnite for a little bit. And we have a history of working together when Lothar was on G2 on the League of Legends side of things, with working with their team both on and off camera. And then Blevins and I have done, obviously, the interview here on the channel. Blevins was one of the first people I spoke to, and then we've done a few co-streams and things like that. So looking forward to kind of transferring that beginning of a working relationship on to broadcast as well. That's going to be an awkward edit, but having cats makes it really tricky to actually film a piece of content like that. So Jupiter appears in shot, Poirot's gone off. What was I saying? Yes, both Blevins and Lothar both bring like different but really strong characteristics to the game. Lothar, of course, for those of you that may not be familiar, is a former Hearthstone pro player. Very, very good at card games, very good at games in general. Has been working with Valorant in the Riot Games ecosystem for a number of years, so it will be interesting to see that kind of transition now back into card games in some ways, I guess, is the way of putting it. And then Blevins and I, we spoke a lot about Blevins' history in Magic, and of course with the Turn 'em Sideways crew, Blevins has been, an instrumental part of the success there. And Blevins, I think his strength that I'm really hoping I get to lean into, but is one of my weaknesses, is the ability to kind of just go down a rabbit hole on something that provides not only the analysis that the streamer looking for, but the entertainment side of things as well, which for me is something that, especially in my early career, was a real struggle of trying to connect with people on an entertaining level, which is somebody whose job it is to entertain you. I hope I'm getting better at that. I hope that those of you, especially that are watching these vlogs, find them some kind of interesting, informative. So looking forward to seeing if I can unlock a little bit more of my personality on broadcast there with Blevins. Also, I'd love to cast with Amy this event. I didn't get to in Bologna, so I'm really hoping to. Likewise, Amy's just such a positive member of the team that I would love to be able to tap into that broadcast positivity a little bit more. And yeah, form a team. And we have Barcode joining us this time, who I actually need to make sure that we've actually confirmed that is public knowledge before I release this video. Looking forward to having somebody else on broadcast as well that has a history in broadcast to help us out with getting the tone of the venue, the vibe, the players, the important bits in between the rounds, that when we are hitting play and go just on all the games and go, we don't necessarily get that flavor of how things are attending the event. So looking forward to seeing how that broadcast team shapes up. I think it's a really strong one. I love the team in Bologna as well, and I'm hoping that we all get to work together as we go through the rest of the year, but Lille should be fun. One thing I want to talk to you about today is not so much on the Lille side of things, but in general preparing. I've done a little bit about how I prepare for a cast. I kind of want to touch on how to prepare as a newer player. Maybe Lille or Skirmish is one of your first events. What do you need to do? How do you prepare? How do you get things ready to go into a tournament? And I think a good place of starting with that is actually looking at the type of thing that you should bring, or things you should bring in your bag, in your play kit for the day. So I recorded a video a little bit earlier just looking at what I put in my bag when I'm doing a tournament. All right, so this isn't necessarily how I pack my bag every time I'm going to Nexus nights, but if I was doing a skirmish or something like an RQ, something where I have to put some thought into what's in my bag so that I can pick it up and just go in the morning. This is probably what I would do. So some of you might recognize this bag. It is the one that has kind of gone a little bit viral on social media for the last couple of weeks. Dunk, who I know from the esports scene, posted about the Uniqlo bag, and this is her. This is actually a really good bag now that I've been using it for a couple of weeks. I'm actually kind of preferring this to a backpack. First things first, it actually has water pockets, which not all backpacks do. Just to make sure you actually take water to an event. Having a refillable kind of container is going to be the best there. Some game stores will let you have outside drinks, some will not. So important to know the limitations of whatever store you're at and what they'll let you take in. That'll feed into a couple of things within the bag as well as we go through. So there's some basics, some very obvious, understandable things. You should bring a playmat. If you can access a turn sideways playmat, you should get one of those from their store. They are great. I used it my last Nexus nights, really enjoying the layout on them. It takes a little bit of time to get used to. They've kind of moved around the champion and legend from typically where I have it, but it works nonetheless. Next thing is if you're playing any level above Nexus Knight, so that's Summoner Skirmish, RQ level, really important game information like the score needs to be kept on pen and paper. Not really suitable to use the dice anymore to keep track of the points in the game. Likewise, you also want to be able to write down all the important information, like your cat screaming at you. But things like, say you're playing Sabotage, you want to be able to write down what the opponent has in hand really quickly. Get used to writing things quickly. It's one of the things that people were struggling with in Riftbound over set 2 was getting information quick and writing it down. Get used to using a notepad rather than a dice. It takes a little while to do, but it is way, way better because essentially what you're looking to do with a notepad is keep an accurate track of the game information. This one actually I've used for Magic as well. So let me see if I can find a spot where I flipped over to Riftbound. So for me, it's basically just what is my score and the opponent's score. And then if I had cards to write down, it would be along the side. Some places do like TCG notepads. If you feel like you want one of those, if you want something, do that. Otherwise, just something small, something so that if a judge comes over to the table because you have a dispute over what the score in the game is, you can pay attention to the cadence of the game and have something that is reliable. A lot of people use the white, like wipeout boards, like the electronic ones. I've not used them myself, mainly because as soon as you hit the refresh button, all the information is gone. So it kind of has all the downsides of writing with none of the upsides, other than you don't have to swap your notebook every so often. So I don't know, not really something that I do, but nevertheless. And as I say, don't use dice, you should still carry dice. Dice are very important for things like floating runes. These I bought for Magic because they fit the color profiles, but they do the same job. So if you're floating runes, if you don't have specific might markers, good to have different colors so you can have damage markers, for instance, or a minus marker, or just like additional for buffs, or at least, you know, empowering units, that type of thing. Good to have them, but don't rely on them as a game tool with a memory. That is one of the difficult things to do. From there, you can also get specific Riftbound ones. I'm going to shill for Turn 'em Sideways again. They sent me some of these awesome might counters. Love that these do minus, love that these do plus. Great. If they're on the store, you should get some. If not, wait for them to come back in store. Next up from that, other things that you should always take to a tournament is spare sleeves. If you are playing at a skirmish or a RQ, be prepared to be deck checked. And what that means is a judge is going to open up your deck box after you present it to your opponent and count every single card aligns with your main deck, and every single side deck card is correct, and your battlefields are correct, and all your runes are correct. And not only that, a good judge will check your sleeves and make sure that there are no bends or folds or tears. I've not had it happen yet, touch wood. It will probably happen one day that as I'm shuffling, I will break a sleeve. You need to have spares. And ideally, if you're playing an actual tournament, good players will tell you, bring enough to re-sleeve your entire deck and then some. So make sure that you're not just bringing 1 or 2 sleeves. Do that maybe for a Nexus night, that's not really a problem. I also double sleeve my cards just because For me, it's preference based around, you know, if you spill something on the table, like again, Nexus Knight's more so than an RQ or a Summoner Skirmish, but I like to have the inners. These are the Dragon Shield sealable inners, so essentially they wrap all the way around a card. And then whatever your sleeve of choice is, these are a set of matte dual sleeves that I picked up for playing on stream, but I haven't had a chance to try them out yet. So on top of that, I mean, the most important thing in your bag is going to be your deck boxes. So I've got a few different types as Poro comes and joins us. Poro is very excited about deck boxes. A few different types, and I'll go through why I prefer different ones in just a moment. So it's up to you which version you like. This is a Gamegenic, just kind of like tough outer deck box. Fits about 100 cards. They're basically made for like Magic Commander decks, so they fit really well for Riftbound. Riftbound decks are a little bit small for them, actually. As you can see, this is like a promo pack and a booster pack in the back as well. These, they're tough, they last, they're quite cheap as well, but in a good way, they're inexpensive and able to kind of get battered around. These are the Ultimate Guards. I think this is called the Sidewinder 100 XL. They come in different shapes, as in different sizes for different things. This is actually a deck I was proxying a while back, so I haven't used this one. I don't love these so much for Riftbound. You don't quite get the durability of and the kind of like the tidiness of stacking as the Gamegenic ones, but I do like the designs. If I'm just playing Nexus Knight, I'll probably pack in one of these. And then this is actually one that I think I got off Amazon a long time ago. But the reason that I like this for Riftbound is not only do you have, you know, a little deck box area, Riftbound for me is a game that has more tokens, and I'm going to show some more in a second. Some for some friends and some for some local business. So having a token tray is really important. Rift Labs gave me dice when I was over in Bologna, so thank you to them, thank you very much. And then things like buff tokens, and before I had the Turn 'em Sideways ones, these from Buy the Same Token, who are local in Brighton and Hove. So just something, again, to keep a track of your units, but your score should be on paper at a competitive level, and as soon as you're a competitive rel, it will be expected to do that. Content creator side of things, I always carry a desk mount, just in case I need to like put my phone or whatever camera I'm using attached to the table. So just something that if I do want to do over-the-shoulder gameplay, anything like that. A few different things. For being a good opponent, I suggest people pack gum, because it can be a long day, and if you're not drinking enough water, you might not have the most pleasant breath. So I'm a little bit of a hygiene, not snob in that regard, but I would prefer no one ever have a problem with sitting across the table from me, so I would suggest bringing something like that. Likewise, long days, bring some kind of food. Your local game store may allow food, it may not, but if you have something like a protein bar or a snack bar, anything, cereal, chips, crisps, whatever you want to call them, that you can just have quickly going outside. If they do have a cafe or whatever in your local game store, obviously make use of that. That is where local game stores tend to make a decent amount of money, is on food and drink. So support your local game store. I suggest bringing painkillers as well. Obviously, you don't want to have to use them, but better to have them and not use them than need them and not have them. And then we're down to like the last little bits, but this is one of the reasons why the bag is so important, and like having so much storage is good, because you can't really fit all of that in a single bag. Phone charger, especially for Riftbound, so much of the tournament structure of the event is being done now on phones. Finding your pairings is quicker on your phone. Make sure you bring something, whether it is a portable charger that can just kind of like MagSafe on, that's what this one does, or whether it's a USB-C, USB, wall plug. You're unlikely to have power everywhere, so you're obviously going to move around during the event, so I would suggest having some kind of wireless charger in order to just make it a bit simpler finding out who you're going against. And the final thing is just a me-specific thing. It's the microphones that I'm using just fit in that front pocket, but that is how much you can fit in this bag. And I'm sure this will make up part of a video about attending events. So I just wanted to run through exactly how much you can fit and what types of things get packed in my bag. All right, that covers everything that's in my bag. As I said, that is not every single time that I'm going to my store. I definitely don't travel with 3 decks normally. That was just an example of one, the space in the bag, and two, the type of deck boxes that I have access to and that I choose. There's a few others that you can get, but these are the ones that I like. These are the ones that I have here for my decks. Some of the key things there are like kind of about sustaining yourself throughout the day. One thing to be really aware of when you're preparing for a tournament is, what type of deck are you playing? Are you playing an aggro deck that is going to win in 10 minutes or lose in 10 minutes? Because like in trading card games, if you're playing an aggro deck and you haven't won before the mid game, probably going to lose the game and you're probably going to the next one really quick. But if you're playing something like, for instance, in Riftbound, like a Ezreal deck, I think people saw the deck that Alan won in Bologna and thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's going to be great. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And then realized that to close out more than 2 games with that deck was incredibly difficult within the time. And if you do that every single round, if you've got to time every single round, you will not have time to relax. You will not have time to drink water, rest up, recuperate, even use the bathroom. So you're going to just kind of cascade yourself throughout the day, further and further through, and get tired and get cranky and get grouchy. And that's the point where your headspace just is not able to compete at a higher level anymore. So my thought process on that is consider what type of deck you're bringing, consider how much you need to account for that in your preparation as well with what you bring. If you know you're unlikely to have time to get up and eat something significant, maybe bring a couple more snacks, maybe bring some extra water. And likewise, no, I didn't actually touch on this in the game, in the video. Bring tokens. If you have tokens in your deck for temporary units like sprites, for instance, if you're playing LeBlanc in Unleashed or Lilia, bring the tokens for the deck. I would suggest bring the official tokens. Yes, people like using custom tokens, and that's cool, that's all right, as long as it is legible. You as the player that is used to playing them are not the person the token is for necessarily. It's your opponent. It's the person that is meeting you for the first time. Can they read what your cards do easily enough? Likewise, if you have different language cards, if you have mixed whether it's Chinese or with French cards coming up at the end of May for Riftbound, have you actually got an English version, whether it is in your bag? Importantly, it shouldn't be in your deck box if it's not already in the deck. Or do you have access to the rules text on your phone, for instance, something like that, in order to prove what a card does? Otherwise, you might get caught in judge calls. It is totally fine for your opponent to ask for an official translation for a card if you are playing a card in a different language, and you should be expecting, especially newer players, if we're talking skirmish level, expect newer players to do that. And if you're playing at an RQ level, players should know the cards. And it is normally safe to assume players will recognize the art from a card regardless of the language. But the caveat to that being, if they need specific ruling, if they need specific wording on how an effect works, then obviously there's going to be a slowdown when they speak to a judge. So be prepared for that as well. But making sure you can shortcut that a little bit if you have an official copy of the English card. Say you only have 1 English one and 3 copies of a foreign language card. Just keep it outside of your deck box, somewhere accessible, because if it's in your deck box and you get deck checked and you have a 4th copy of a card, might end up being in trouble with a judge there as well. Probably wouldn't happen. Probably a judge would be lenient if you showed them copies of the card, but the theory and then the execution is a couple of different things. But I think that kind of covers the majority of what happens for me going into an event, building into an event. I didn't show the camera in my bag because I'm using the camera right now to record, so that's why I have a tripod and microphones and no camera. But nevertheless, I thought that that's less important compared to everything else that is in the actual bag itself. I'm going to get myself ready to go to Lille in a few days' time. Those of you that are, come and say hey. If you see me in the venue at any point, I'll be hanging around, especially on the Friday where we're doing some content and preparation stuff. And then from there on Saturday and Sunday, we'll be doing the main event, determining who will be the 2nd ever European Riftbound Regional Qualifier champion, and take home some awesome prizes and qualification for later in the year. I'll probably do an update from the event, but until then, if I don't see you before, I'll catch you in Lille.